And now for my next trick, I shall turn a half a book into 6 movies. The Hobbit Part 3 is directed by Peter Jackson, and it stars Martin Freeman, Richard Armitage, Ian McKellen, and a whole lot of other people, like Orlando Bloom. It's nice to see him doing things again. So this is the final installment in the Hobbit trilogy, which is based on a single book. And this we see the continuation of all the storylines that we've seen develop in the previous 2 films. At the end of the last one, of course, the dragon Smaug has been unleashed, and the dwarves, they have reclaimed their homeland, but at what cost? And now that they have it, what do they do with it, and how do they keep it? That, among many other storylines, is explored in this film. I mean, this is the 3rd one. You know, if you don't know what's going on by now, then, you know, that's your fault. Get on it. I have to say, I've really enjoyed Martin Freeman's portrayal of Bilbo. Not only throughout the series, but in this particular film, he does an excellent job once again. I think he's a phenomenal actor and a perfect casting. And he does just an excellent job balancing the many different sides of this character. From the conniving and the lying part of Bilbo to the likability and the loyal and the seeming good nature of Bilbo. And he does it all flawlessly. He walks that line perfectly. And I thought he did a great job in this film. It's always great to see Ian McKellen back as Gandalf. He's a great actor and he lends himself well to this role. It's perfect for him. And he does a great job once again. I thought Richard Armitage also did a really good job. He had probably the most difficult performance in this film out of the 3. And I thought that he pulled it off really well. His character goes through a lot in this film, and I really enjoyed his performance and thought he did an excellent job. As is the case with just about any trilogy, by the time you get to the 3rd part, there is a lot going on. And there are many characters, and there are several different branching storylines. But overall, I thought they did a really good job keeping the story cohesive. They did a great job of editing and bringing you back into different little places to remind you of where you are in these other stories. And at no real point did I feel lost or unclear as to where I was and what was happening. There was one choice they made that bothered me a little bit. A good portion of the way into the film, they introduce a new dwarf character. However, in this instance, they decide to make him completely computer animated. And if that were bad enough, they decided to hire an actor who has a rather distinctive voice to voice the character. That kind of took me out of it, and it didn't make a lot of sense. You've gone to all this crazy extent, and this entire company of dwarves with these elaborate makeup setups to create these characters. Why now do you abandon that so that you can use a particular actor? I just didn't understand that. Another issue I had was with the romance that they have seemingly shoehorned into this story. I'm not exactly sure why they added it. Perhaps they felt there was a story element they were missing, but they've worked very hard to put it in here. And ultimately, I'm not really sure that it works. It should increase the emotional engagement of people for this 3rd film, but at the end of the day, the result was lackluster and kind of disappointing. Some of the smaller characters in this film were a bit of a mixed bag for me. I thought Ryan Gage as Alfred got a little bit annoying as the film progressed. I couldn't understand why his character kept popping up. Maybe it was for comic relief, but I didn't really think it was very funny, and I kind of wished they'd have left his character on the cutting room floor. However, Lee Pace continued a very good performance as this rather creepy elvish king, and I thought Luke Evans continued to do a very good job as Bard, and I really enjoyed his performance as well. Where this film shines is in the stunning visuals. Peter Jackson has created this world so well, and many of the battle sequences are very well done, but also in the relationship between Bilbo and Thorin. Their friendship is put to the test during this film, and many of the scenes that they are in are the best in the movie. And it's seeing their journeys conclude as characters that is what is so satisfying about this film. As far as the adaptation is concerned, I know that Peter Jackson has taken a few more liberties with The Hobbit than he did with the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. Some of that has worked and some of it hasn't. However, I do think that a successful adaptation is one that captures the spirit of the original work and the themes found there and communicates them in maybe a new way. And in that sense, I do feel like he's done a good job and he has accomplished that. That being said, book purists will probably not enjoy this film because they probably didn't enjoy the first two Hobbit films either. There are some rather drastic changes, and those will probably be off-putting to someone who is going to try and see the book. It's difficult not to compare these films to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I do think if you do that, you're going to find that these films maybe aren't as good. But in truth, the story is kind of meant to be that way. This is originally a story geared towards children, whereas The Lord of the Rings was a bit more of a serious tone and had a lot more intensity. That said, the conclusion to the story was done very well. The stakes are higher in this film, and so it lends itself to some great moments, certainly some of the best moments in this trilogy. I'm going to give The Hobbit Battle of the Five Armies a 4 out of 5. I had a good time. I enjoyed this film. Did this book need 3 movies? Probably not. They probably could have gotten away with 2 pretty easily. But that's not what they chose to do, and I thought what they did was done pretty well. If you've enjoyed the first 2 films, you will very likely enjoy this one as well. If you didn't like the first 2 movies, it's the internet. There are about 1 billion places that you can complain about it, so go run wild and free. Speaking of which, what did you think of this film? Leave a comment below and let's talk about it. But remember, we're all friends. Friends love each other. And as always, click right here if you like what you see and subscribe to even more of me.